And welcome to the NFL Today on YouTube. JB along with Coach Cowher, Nate Burleson, and Matt Ryan. We've got one game to talk about that is really one of the most exciting outcomes through the season so far, the Washington Commanders and how they are wowing people. In a game against the Philadelphia Eagles in Washington, young Jaden Daniels. He seems to do it every weekend. You said...
I said, listen, it's no longer a fluke. This is a habit. This is what he does. He finds ways to win at the end of ball games, and he's just so poised, right? You go against one of the best defenses in the NFL, and he delivers 5 touchdown passes and delivers one at the end of the game to Jamison Crowder that was absolutely beautiful. But we're going to watch him right here. I mean, this is distributing the football all over. We're throwing it outside, down the field. Beautiful over-the-top throw to Terry McLaurin right there. We're going to take off. We're going to use our legs. He's a dynamic threat running the football. He can extend and keep his eyes down the field. Beautiful right there to Olamide Zaccheaus. And then when it's all on the line, right? Look how calm he is in the pocket, delivering the football over the middle of the field. That looks like somebody who's been doing this for a long time, right? And the numbers are excellent right there. I think for sure a game like this, on top of the games that he's had all year, make him a lock, at least in my opinion, to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know Brock Bowers has had a great year, but I think what he's done for that organization, the pull, the impact that he's had on the organization, the city, that region, and that football team has been incredibly impressive. But that was massive for them, too, right? You're going against Philadelphia. I know Jalen Hurts is out, but he didn't have anybody out on the defense. He went toe-to-toe with one of the best defenses in the league and performed. If I can just add to that in terms of you talk about the city and that team, given what they had gone through for 2 decades, disaffection, I don't think is the proper word to describe what it was. They've turned that around quickly with the leadership, the top organization, and, of course, the coaching and on the field.
Yeah, change at the top creates change at the bottom. How impressive was it? You know, you have the receiver who's looking at split safeties in a very condensed area right there, and the linebacker is running with the slot receiver. And Jaden Daniels is looking, throwing. I have to see my receiver off the shoulder of the linebacker and throw it past his helmet in the back of the end zone. A beautiful play and a great catch. Listen, there's something about the greats, and I'm not calling him a great yet, but there's something about the greats. They know how to take an intense moment and calm their spirit. Back to a conversation with Dan Quinn, and he talked about looking at this young quarterback early in the season, and it was that moment in the game, and he looks at the young man inside the helmet, and he said he was smiling. Smiling. Yep. That's a rookie quarterback, knowing I got 2 or less minutes to take my team down there and win the game. Matt, we've been in this game a long time. Coach, come on, you've done it a long time. We know veteran receivers who get shook in those moments and can't calm. And that is infectious in the negative way because it bleeds into the rest of the offense. For a rookie to step into that huddle, look at his guys with a smile on his face and say, hey, guys, I got this. All we need is 6 points. Don't worry about it. You follow me, I'm going to lead you. We're going to listen to the coach. I'll get the play in. I'm going to get you guys down the field. We're going to win, celebrate, have some drinks on the plane. They got that as a rookie. Now imagine once he gets a little bit of experience, how he's going to dominate in this league.
And that's after throwing an interception. Throws an interception in the fourth quarter where you can go into the tank. He got the ball back. They hit him to a field goal. Okay, we don't need a field goal. Now we need a touchdown. I got you. But I agree with you one thing. He is mature way beyond his years. Yeah. And I just sit there and remember talking to Dan Quinn at the bye. And I'm not sure the bye didn't come at a great time. The bye came 2 weeks ago, late. Because you talked about the rookie wall. You talked about back and reflect a little bit of who you are, where we are, and how can we get better. And Cliff's cliff that they were supposed to have, maybe it's like, you know what, let's continue to grow. Let's continue to develop.
So that bye was perfect timing.
The bye was a great time to do some introspective thinking of yourself. Who are we? Where are we? And more importantly, where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go?
Right? So, and that's where I feel like this team is right now. Because you think about where they are. And with Cliff, with Dan Quinn. And we talk about Coach of the Year. We talked about Dan Campbell. We're talking about Sean McDermott. How about Dan Quinn?
Yeah.
I mean, how about Dan Quinn with what he's done to turn around this football team?
No question about it.
And 10 wins, or I would think that, take care of business in Atlanta, I think, next week. And, they finish up. And, they're going to be in the playoffs. I think it's safe to, they have to do it, and they're not clinched yet.
Right.
But I'll tell you, another team you may not want to play, you get in the playoffs right there with this guy, with this quarterback.
So here's the deal with the Washington Commanders. They were at 84%. Prior to today, a win made it 94% in terms of them getting into the postseason, so it looks good. Matt, you and Coach specifically, I remember hearing this, talking about that owners looking for new coaches shouldn't always just be looking on one side of the ball. Look at who is a leader. Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator, but a leader and getting it done.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Dan Quinn. I'm glad, Coach, you brought up Cliff Kingsbury. These are two guys that are on their second time around, right? And have learned the experience from maybe some of the success in the first stop and maybe some of the downfalls in the first stop. And are better served. I believe in life we learn more from the losses than we do the wins.
Yeah.
And in our league right now, there is not the patience for learning those lessons along the way. We move on very quickly. And that's just the nature of the world we live in right now. But I give ownership in Washington credit to go to a guy who has been fired and then come back and say, what lessons have you learned? How are we going to be different? How are you going to be better?
Both Cliff and
then Dan hiring Cliff Kingsbury saying, I know it didn't work out for you in Arizona, but how are you going to be better than you were during your time there? And I think both of those guys together have had a tremendous impact on Jaden Daniels. Yeah. And Jaden Daniels, at the same time, has had a tremendous impact on both of them. And so I think it's this marriage of experience and youth and really very talented people coming together, and it's great for this organization.
And I think as you go through that journey, a journey of trial and tribulation, joy, dissatisfaction, the wisdom that you gain along the way is really will be your legacy with what you become, because that's what you're able to share with others. To understand that when you have high expectation, you have early success, you get to a Super Bowl, that you just don't sit there and sit on that. You understand that you got to continue to grow and get better. I became a head coach in the National Football League. I made it. No, you didn't. You're just here. It's the next stop. Your journey is never ending. Your journey is something that will continue to define who you are as an individual. Don't take yourself too seriously and don't beat yourself up. Embrace the moment, stay in the now, and just continue to get better week by week.
Wisdom doesn't necessarily bend to the trends of the day. There is a true North Star. Follow that. And one organization that has done that superbly, the Steelers and the Rooneys, period. 3 coaches in 50-plus years. Nate, let me spin it and ask you about on the other side of the coin, with Philadelphia as an ex-player, knowing what winning is all about. What might this do to them, especially with Jalen Hurts now out with the concussion?
Yeah, I believe you can point to Jalen Hurts and say this might be one of the main reasons why we lost this game. And let's give Kenny Pickett some credit. He came in, he was serviceable. But look at the injury. You can see his helmet bounce off the field. But you're going to have to do whatever you need to do to get him healthy, whether he sits out for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. This is your most important piece to the puzzle. A healthy Jalen Hurts for this offense, for this team, for this city. That means a strong run to the Super Bowl. But you really have to take care of the man first and then worry about the player second.
You know, I look at it, and you hope he can get through that and get healthy and be ready to play quickly. Everyone is different. But we talked about it in the pregame show, you know, which team would benefit the most from home field advantage. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for Philadelphia to drop this game today. 100%. They had won 10 games in a row, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
A little bit of a sense of urgency prior to the playoffs starting. I believe this football team is good enough to go on the road through the playoffs if they have to and knock off any one of the teams in the NFC that they would have to play. And I believe they're built to do it because of their defense, the way that they play defense, and I believe they're built to do it because of the way they run their football and Saquon Barkley. So I don't think this is like a cause for or pause for concern.
But hold on, at the risk of asking,
I think it's a good thing.
At the risk of asking the obvious, why is it a good thing?
Because everything's got a life cycle. Everything's got a life cycle. Now, as much as you want to preach and talk about, and that's why we keep talking now, maybe proving that wrong is the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know. Because I'm just saying, they've been doing it so closely, but sometimes with Philadelphia, it's been so easy. It's hard to keep the edge, and it's okay to all of a sudden, you know, you're real and you're vulnerable.
It's okay to get punched in the mouth.
It's okay to be, you're vulnerable, man.
Yeah.
Like don't take yourself too seriously.
As long as you don't wimp out after getting punched.
Right.
I watch our guys in this studio all the time talking about March Madness and some of these teams that might drop a game in the conference tournament or something like that. That might be the very best thing you need going into the tournament, right?
No question.
It's kind of a quick reset, a quick mental reset, get it out of your system, and now let's get back on that streak. We've proven we can win 10 in a row. You don't need to win 10 in a row.
No.
You need to win 4.
Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
Right now,
you need to win 4 when the tournament starts.
Because we all start 0-0.
Correct.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks, whatever.